Yes, Thomas, I did receive your email not long ago and obviously did not have time to get a response out to you. Um, Give me just a moment here. Let me find that again and I can answer those questions for you here. Okay, you're running the WooCommerce shopping site. I do not personally use WooCommerce. However, I suspect that you might not be able to get it to pull up those individual pages in the plugin, possibly because they might be what's called a custom post type in WordPress. Let me pull up the plugin here real quick. When you are either creating an exit page or editing one, and you have all of your exit page rules down below, I'm assuming your individual WooCommerce pages are not showing up in the list of your pages or the posts that are included in the exit page rules section here. Okay, that I'm likely correct about it being a custom post type, which is something where themes or plugins in WordPress can create essentially their own type of page in the WordPress system, where you have things like a post and you have things like page. You can then have additional types of these that are custom created by different types of plugins. I should be able, they do have IDs though. Okay. Have you tried manually entering in an ID into these include boxes here? Even though, and that's still not working? No? Okay. I will have to double check on that for you. I can definitely add something and make it recognize that. I had thought that it would have recognized it already, even though it's not pulling up the actual pages that are created in WooCommerce through this list here. I would have thought that it would still respond to including the ID numbers in the exit page rules. But with you telling me that it's not, I'll definitely go and check up on that and even get a hold of a copy of that for myself if need be. It defaults to the EWS exit page. Okay, and you're sure that the ordering of them is correct? For example, with this setup here, I have an exit page that is for EWS, which is for all the pages of my site. And then I have one that's targeting an individual page, and I have to have the individual page sorted up above the EWS page, or else the EWS page will kick in for all pages, and it'll override this particular rule. Okay, it's possible that may be what's causing it to not recognize that. It should recognize the ID number. I was kind of surprised when you said that it wouldn't. But as far as getting it to actually list the pages for you so you don't have to go and manually hunt down those ID numbers, I can do something about that and get it to add some custom drop-down boxes. I should be able to detect what custom post types are created on your site using a script and get it to essentially create a new drop-down box for you that would be populated with all of your WooCommerce pages. Now, just in case anybody else is having this type of problem and would like to do something about it in the meantime before I get that next update made, which shouldn't actually take very long, the next day or so should be about all it will take for me to get that published for you. But if you go into whatever your custom post type may be, where you can see the listing of all those different pages, if you hover over the edit link, you can see down in the URL, it says post is equal to 77. And you can actually edit the actual page itself if you want to see that a little more clearly. So right here up at the top, post is equal to 77. Now, this post part might be a little different, but basically you're going to see a number somewhere in this URL, and it's going to be the only number in there when you go and edit that particular page within the WordPress system. That's the number that you would then want to be including in the actual plugin. So when you're editing a page, you can add something like that onto it by simply adding a comma if you have something that's there already, and then adding on the ID number. If there are particular situations, like something like what Thomas may be experiencing, where you cannot get a unique type of page to show up in one of these drop-down boxes and you need to target it individually, you can do that to manually target them. But also, please let me know about it through my support system, ryanstevensonplugins.com/support. And I'd be happy to add something into the plugin. There's all different types of things that WordPress can be used for, and without really knowing what my customers exactly want to be using it for, it's sometimes hard to program for every possible type of situation out there. However, I am more than happy to try to make it compatible with different types of WordPress sites that exist. So just let me know through the support system. You can also find that through the link up here at the top of the plugin. If anybody else has questions for me, please feel free to punch them into the chat box at any time. Even if I'm in the middle of answering something for somebody else, I don't mind you going ahead and putting your question in, and I'll get to you in the order that I receive them. Let's see, you were also asking about the header text. I'm assuming you had seen the code generator, but maybe you were trying to customize things a little bit from what the code generator creates for you. I had thought about trying to implement essentially something to that effect, but into the plugin where you could more easily create those customized headers and things of that nature. It sounds like that might be kind of along the lines of what you would be looking to do. Let's see, Jeffrey is asking, he says, I've got the plugin up and running, no clicks as of yet. I know it's about testing, but is there something that works better in your tests, such as a main headline? I'm wondering why they aren't clicking on any of the ads. Personally, I do prefer to try to target my exit pages to specific pages of my website, especially if the page is one of my more popular pages. You can use things like analytics to try and track which pages of your site are common landing pages, common exit pages of your site, more popular pages, things of that nature. So I'll try and look at that type of data and figure out which pages are more worthwhile to customized towards specific sections or certain pages of my website. And usually on a lot of my Amazon sites, I'll have a page that revolves around a particular purpose or usage of a product or a range of products. Or it might be a page about a specific product, or it could be a page about maybe a specific brand or a limited selection of products from a particular brand. So there can be a lot of different kinds of situations where you might want to try to, gear your exit page ads towards whatever it is that your page content is going after. So in that regard, giving, I guess, an exact recommendation as far as what to do is a little on the hard side, but in general terms, I do recommend targeting your exit pages to whatever your content is. If you're promoting a specific product, you might get people that land on the page that are looking to find out information about the product because they already purchased it. So doing things like offering accessories for the product when you are giving an exit page can be one approach that works well. If you're targeting something like a brand name, offering other products within the brand, or even some competing products from a different brand, just in case the people don't like the selection that maybe you have offered on your website. So I kind of like to look at whatever it is I'm doing on a particular page of my site, what it is that I'm offering, where my traffic is coming from, and I tried to essentially identify the shortfall of my page, where I might have some people coming to that page that are looking for something different than what I'm offering, but very closely related. And so a lot of times I will try to offer them those things in my exit pages. As far as the headlines that I use, those also tend to vary a lot. Depending on the product selection that's available, and also depending on what I think people might be looking for, offering the standard header, for example, the weight image that is included in the plugin, that one is more geared towards people that are looking for a good deal or a bargain. And so a lot of times I will try to use the exit page option where if I'm letting it select things for me, instead of going for the more popular products, which would be the best sales rank, I might go for the biggest percentage discount to try to get what actually will appear to be some good deals to be showing up on that page. So you want whatever your headline is to kind of match up with your content and with what the ads on the exit page are actually going to be. So I've gotten my best results from looking at all of that stuff combined and trying to come up with a complete game plan as far as approaching that for where my traffic's coming from, what I'm offering on my page, and what might not be on my page that people might actually be looking for when they land on it. So then I gear the headline around all of that and also the ads around all of that as well. So, like you were saying, it's all about testing to try to figure out exactly what'll work best for your individual situation. But I wouldn't really expect to see crazy high click-through rates on these exit ads. A decent amount of people that see them are going to close them down or still leave your website, but you are going to be able to pick up a certain percentage of them. a lot of mine, I might see click-through rates of 1 to 5% or so on my ads, and that converts into a number of additional Amazon sales for me each month on my site. And in a lot of cases has been increasing my revenue from between 50 to 100% or so on each of my individual websites, on average at least. You're quite welcome, Jeremy. Hope that is helpful for you. Let's see, Mary, you're asking a question about a different plugin of mine. I can still address that here, though. All of my plugins update in the same manner. You can either go to Dashboard Updates and get a list of them there. If you are really confident that I have an update available and it's not listed here, like if I have just published an update, which I actually just did late last night, you may not initially see it listed on the page here. Click on the Check Again button. Sometimes it'll even take 2 clicks of it to actually get it to initially display if it's within 24 hours or so of when that update has been published especially. Then all you have to do is click on the check mark and click on Update Plugins. Now if you ever see it say that there is an update available, but you try to update it and the update doesn't actually process, or it tells you that there's not actually an update available when you actually try to do that, I have noticed that show up with some customers' websites sometimes. You really just want to look at what the versions are. It'll tell you what version you have installed and what version is available. And if these two are matching, then that update's not going to go through. There really isn't an update available. So whether you're using Azon Exit Cache or any of my other plugins, they all update in the same manner. That's a good question, Thomas. He's asking about resetting web page cache to test out the exit pages. Is it more a situation of the pages were previously cached and the exit page simply isn't loading up on it after you have created the exit page? Or is it more of clearing out the cache to be able to check it, I guess, multiple times? Okay, I think that's happening because of a plugin setting. This plugin setting is designed to not annoy your regular website visitors, but it is something that you can disable in Azon Exit Cache, especially for testing purposes. This could be really helpful. If you go to Azon Exit Cache and Settings, down in the advertisement section, there's a setting that says Disable Repeat Ads. And with this set to yes, you're only going to be able to view an exit page on your entire website one time. And you would either have to clear your cache or close your browser down and reopen it again to reset that and to have the exit page actually display again to the same person. So again, this is designed to try to reduce the frequency of these exit pages to the people that are actually returning to your website frequently, or maybe they may be coming back multiple times within a short time period. If you keep hitting them with this exit page over and over and over again, they'll often get annoyed with it. So that's the purpose of this particular setting, but it can sometimes lead people to believe that maybe the exit page isn't working correctly when they're testing it out, or possibly they may be aware of this limitation and doing something like you're doing, clearing out the cache to get it to redo. So this would be the way to test it out. If you just click this over to no, you should be able to go to your live site and test out an exit page. And then if you wanted to, you could go back in and re-enable it. Okay, great. Glad that's working for you. I think this is one thing that sometimes does cause a little bit of confusion for people. I do have this enabled by default, if I'm not mistaken, when the plugin is installed. More designed towards keeping the website visitors happy and less geared towards the testing purposes. So, if you do want to test, it is built in there for that. So, well, at least for now, it doesn't appear as though there are any additional questions. If you do come up with something before this webinar is over, please feel free to still punch it into the chat box for me. I thought I would go ahead and move along to my training lesson that I have planned for you guys, a little bit of a bonus training that should help you to get more traffic to your sites, or even to maybe diagnose why you're not getting traffic to a particular website. To help you to obviously get more traffic, period, Amazon commissions, and even to increase your exposure to these exit pages. And if you do have questions beyond this webinar, you are always welcome to get in touch with me or my support staff through ryanstevensonplugins.com/support. Yes, Thomas. This webinar is being recorded and it'll be provided later this evening, usually around midnight or so. A link will get sent out for that. And I'll also end up adding a link for this into the download page for the plugin, so it's something you'll be able to access into the future as well. It won't be cutting off at any particular time or anything like that. Now for the additional class that I'm going to be showing you guys this evening, it's not going to be a slideshow presentation. I'm actually going to be giving you some live demonstrations here so you can use this knowledge in the real world with your own website. So this won't just be theory training. I'll actually be showing you guys some useful stuff tonight. So I'm going to be showing you what my secrets are in terms of getting free targeted traffic to my Amazon niche sites. Now, there are obviously tons of different ways that you can go about getting traffic to your website. A lot of paid methods are out there, and then you have obviously tons of common methods that could be used on a lot of different types of websites, like simple things like forum postings within a related niche site, and things where you're targeting other relational sites like yours. But as far as getting a large amount of traffic to your site completely free and having it targeted and lasting for a long time, I still prefer to stick to search engine traffic. A lot of people find search engine traffic to be very unreliable, though, because you have Google constantly making updates to their algorithm that are booting all of these affiliate websites out of the rankings. Well, I've been building affiliate websites for about 2 decades now, and I've seen Google go through all kinds of different changes along the way. But for the most part, I really have not had to make a lot of major changes to my strategies. I haven't woken up after the dreaded Panda and Penguin updates and seen my rankings disappear. They stayed. The reason why I never worried about any of those past updates, and I still don't worry about future updates that Google is going to make, is because I'm not in the business of tricking the search engine into giving me rankings. Search engines, no matter which one, they all have a specific goal. They want to provide the best possible results for whatever it is that somebody is searching for. And so anything that you can possibly come up with, any trick that anyone else can possibly invent that's going to try to overcome that goal of a search engine is simply going to fail long term. It might work immediately. It might even work for a year or something like that. But eventually, the search engines will realize that particular tactic and they will do something about it and wipe it out. And so that's what has happened in the past with all of these major algorithm updates where you see affiliate websites disappearing. It's not the affiliate website that search engines hate. Google doesn't hate for you to try to make money off of your website. They hate when you try to trick their search engine rankings and to try to put a low quality site in those rankings that's ultimately not going to help somebody, because that gives a poor impression on the searcher to the search engine. So understanding that basic principle is the key to my free traffic. And it's something that you simply can't ignore now or ever into the future. A lot of people, though, have ignored this because tricks did exist before where you could quickly get search rankings without doing any kind of work yourself, just clicking a button and generating a page. But those days have disappeared, and so people are starting to come around to realize, hey, to stick around long term in this industry, I actually do have to provide value to the search engine. I have to provide value to my website visitors too. So this whole philosophy greatly affects how I actually build my Amazon websites. And you can actually see one of these websites here on my screen right now, downcomforterguide.com. I personally built this entire website. Now, one thing that you may notice that's a little different about my site from a lot of other Amazon sites that are out there is that my site is not designed to be a store. It's not loaded with endless pages of a ton of different products. I actually have the majority of pages on my website do not even contain advertisements at all. And in fact, aren't even promoting specific products. They're more informational types of content pages. this small little section of my site, the brand section over here, is really the only section that has advertisements. There's, I believe, one other page, the color selection page, I believe, has some ads on it. But with that exception, everything else is an informational page, something that is designed to help me to get better search rankings, to help make my entire website more relevant, and also to funnel traffic in to the pages that I'm actually going to make money off of. So I still do a lot of what most affiliates might be doing in terms of promoting products, having review pages essentially on your site, but this is limited to a small section of my website, and everything else is designed to help to increase the power of these pages. So my informational pages are helping to reinforce the overall subject of my website, my site being about down comforters here. But then things like links within that content, pointing over to my money pages, helps to increase the search power of these pages as well. Whereas on a lot of typical websites, you just have all those product pages, and they pretty much all stand alone. And so none of the pages of your site really end up being more powerful than other pages. You don't have pages that are helping to build up the more important pages of your site. Essentially, all of the pages of your site become important. And at least in my experiences, when that takes place, you have Google end up putting less importance on all of your pages as a result. They actually want to see you putting more importance on certain pages of your website. Now, another issue that I see that is pretty common out there, if you have Amazon sites and they have these review pages, a lot of times those review pages are likely going to be directly targeting a product-based keyword phrase. I want to show you one of the pages of my site here to give you an example of what it is that I'm talking about. I have this page that is on IKEA, and specifically it's on IKEA down comforters. Well, the actual products I'm promoting on this page are specific down comforters from this particular brand. However, I'm not targeting that brand within the title of my page. If you go out there and try to find the title that this Amazon product has and on the Amazon website, I pretty much guarantee that you can find hundreds, if not thousands, of other websites out there that have a page using that exact same title, whatever title it is that Amazon is using. So I try to break away from that mold because I know what most other affiliates are going to be doing. And so I try to do something different from what they're doing that's still in line with what my main philosophy is with building these sites and trying to result in Amazon commissions. So this whole approach not only helps me to avoid a lot of the competition of the other affiliates, but it actually helps me with search engine rankings. And this has become even more so the case as the years have rolled on. My page here, IKEA Down Comforters, has a lot of search rankings. and they relate to phrases that are not contained within this title a lot of times. The my Saran phrase, for example, is one particular phrase, maybe in combination with some other words that are in my title up here, where I have a lot of really great rankings on this one specific page of my site. So I find this to be important because this is really the opposite of what I see a lot of affiliates doing out there these days. I see them going overboard with their keyword phrases, especially. They'll go into the Google Keyword Planner, do some keyword research, figure out particular keyword phrases revolving around certain products or certain niches that they want to try to target. And they'll have a page where that keyword phrase is the exact title of the page. Well, sure, IKEA down comforters is going to be a keyword phrase, and I'm sure there is search traffic on it. However, I'm not really going after that as my keyword phrase here. I'm really going after other more long tail keyword phrases that relate to this particular subject. So if you go and look at something like the keyword density of my page, my phrases that I'm targeting, things like my Saran or IKEA or even down comforters here, they're not overwhelming on the page. They're actually not even my top phrases at all. And most of them have 2.5% or less of keyword density overall. So if you find yourself writing your own content and commonly repeating whatever your target keyword phrase is for that specific page of content, you'll often end up getting filtered out by these search engines. What you should really be more looking to do is to talk about subjects that relate to your target keyword phrase without actually repeating those same words. You need to find different ways to say what it is that you're talking about if you need to keep mentioning it over and over again. Otherwise, you should really just try to expand on certain subjects. Where on this page, as an example, I have my IKEA down comforters. I'm not repeating IKEA over and over again. I'm not repeating my Saran over and over again. I go into things like talking about the materials in the products, talking about caring for the products, talking about specs and features and things like that of the products. This helps me to give my content a lot of variety, and this kind of thing really makes a difference with the search engines. And not only that, quite frankly, it makes a useful page for people that visit your website, because by covering all these different relational topics that they might be interested in, having to do with whatever subject it is you're targeting, then you simply end up providing them with all that different information that they're likely looking for. And this helps to build the trust with your visitors and makes them a lot more likely to buy from you as well. So it's really a big revolving circle that you're putting yourself into by going the extra mile with things like creating your content, making it unique, not just creating a site completely full of product pages. And while I'm on the subject of product pages, I also want to mention a bit of a warning even. Amazon has really been cracking down over the last year to 2 years or so on affiliates that are building completely automated websites. If you have entire pages created on your Amazon site that essentially use nothing but content from the Amazon product page itself, Amazon does not view that as being a type of affiliate that's actually bringing something to the table worth paying them for. And they've been suspending those types of affiliates left and right. Now, this isn't to say that you can't have some kind of content on your site having to do with the product. You can actually still use the Amazon product content. Other pages of my site have larger advertisements, and they'll even have that product description word for word directly from Amazon, but Amazon's okay with it because of all this other stuff that I'm doing that is not found on Amazon, and because of all the other sections of my website that are simply not going to be found on Amazon. They can look at my site and see that it's a quality effort put forth, and that if I can refer sales off of this site, then I deserve to be paid for them. And so if you're not building this kind of a website for better search rankings or for search traffic, you ultimately are going to have to start doing this to keep Amazon happy with you, because they are starting to kind of trend towards the way that the search engines are going. They're a really large company, and if they can reduce these payouts to people that are essentially just taking things off of their website and making money with them without doing anything themselves, then, Amazon will likely earn millions of additional dollars from doing that, and it's going to help enhance their entire network. They really can't be getting overrun by a lot of low quality affiliates like that in the long run, because vendors are going to start to get away from it, because they'll find that these affiliates are not really trying to bring new sales to the table. A lot of them are just trying to essentially take the sale away from somebody else, or maybe even from Amazon itself. So, ask yourself if your website brings value to search engines. Ask yourself if your site brings value to your visitors, and also ask if it brings value to Amazon as well. Ultimately, you need to be lining up with all three of those to truly see really good long-term results. Now, this Down Comforter Guide site, I originally built it, it's close to 2 years ago now. If you were looking at, say, a recent product launch where they're talking about a strategy to build Amazon sites, chances are you're probably not going to have a lot of interest in the one that was created 2 years ago, right? Well, what if that one created 2 years ago was still working today and still making money every single month up until today? And not only that, but it's something that I haven't had to mess with that entire time. Just in the last month or so, off of roughly a 20-page website that would have taken me about 4 days to build had I not actually been teaching people how to build. I actually recorded myself building that entire website. Had it not been for doing that additional training, though, I build these in about 4 days apiece. And so for 2 years later, to be getting 7,000 page views a month on a site that I slapped up there and really have hardly touched ever since. I went back earlier this year and made a couple of updates to my more popular pages to enhance the results from the site. So I try to minimize the work that I do while maximizing the actual results that I get from it. So I can then move from one site to the next and churn and burn, and then I end up with a whole bunch of these things sitting out there, all performing like this, generating Amazon sales for me all the time. Now, I mentioned going back to this website earlier this year and doing some updates to it to enhance the results from it that I was already getting. One of the things that I find to be the most important as far as doing that kind of thing is to track not only your more popular pages, but where your traffic is actually coming from, because you need to know what your traffic is looking for. This is something I was talking about a little earlier as well. Well, Google Analytics is not the only way that you can accomplish this, but more recently with Google's changes and them trying to block the actual search phrases that people are using to reach your site, this has really become the main way to be able to track this kind of thing. You need to use not only Google Analytics, but also Google Webmaster Tools. You hook up both sites and interlink them, and then you can actually get information down in the acquisition, search engine optimization query section here. You can actually get keyword phrases that are going to be off of Google, where typically you're really not going to see this information in this amount of detail any other way, at least not anymore after Google has kind of tried to block that sort of thing. I would assume they did that to try to increase usage of their own services, obviously. But regardless, as long as you can access this information, it really doesn't matter where it comes from, in my opinion. So I can easily see from here, from the queries page, certain keywords that are bringing in a lot of traffic for me. And you can actually see there's 326 total keywords, at least just in this list. And I found that this is not a complete list. They actually exclude some data from this, because when you look at the traffic from here and you look at the traffic that's actually coming into your site from search engines, the numbers simply don't add up. So they have to be excluding some of that data. But regardless, what they are giving you is still excellent information that you can use. So what I will do is go and look at specific keyword phrases that are bringing in a lot of traffic for me. I will also look at specific landing pages that are bringing in a lot of traffic. And you can see not only when they're bringing in traffic in terms of the clicks that are coming in, but you can also see what kind of potential these pages might have. If you have a large amount of impressions here, but a lower number of clicks in comparison, especially if your average position right here shows up pretty low, if it's out of the top 10 as your average position, and you have a lot of impressions here, these pages can be worth your time to build up. Add 2, 3, 4 times the amount of content to these pages. Get really, really in depth with them. And you can see these rankings rise and get massive, massive traffic delivery from it. And you don't have to be taking shots in the dark. Any of these other pages that I've built could have had the same potential as some of these pages. But some of the pages simply get ranked better by Google. They might like the content that you wrote better than other pages. And so instead of trying to kill yourself on every single page, I'll try to build out a site that maybe has, I like to shoot for around 800 words per page or so, at least to begin with. And I'll give it a month or so and see how Google responds to my website. I'll see where my search rankings are. I'll see what pages might have the potential for a lot more exposure on them. And then that's where I will focus my efforts instead of trying to kill myself on the entire website. So then I'll build out these particular pages. Maybe I'll funnel more links into these pages from other relational areas of my website and help to increase the traffic considerably more. Now, earlier this year, the IKEA page was the page that was showing the most amount of promise. And I put forth a lot of effort into that particular page to build it up kind of like what I'm talking about. And I succeeded by getting an average position of 7.9. So throughout all of the search rankings that phrase is ranking for, it averages in the top 10 for every single one of them. And I get pretty good click-through rates too, about 14% on average. So just this one page of my website delivers quite a bit of traffic to it. And considering this page is promoting Amazon products for me that are highly relational, IKEA My Saran, and a lot of my search phrases that I have are those exact phrases. So they're looking for these products, and it brings a lot of sales on just this one specific page out of the website, not to mention the other pages that it has working for it. So keep these kinds of things in mind when you are building out your own Amazon sites. Sometimes putting forth that extra work early on can deliver much, much better results in the end. And not only that, but this is the kind of thing, like I mentioned before, that can continue on for years and years. And not just be a site that you put up and it makes a little bit of money for you, and then, after a few months or a year or something, it disappears from the rankings and it just sits there doing nothing. The whole purpose of building these sites, after all, is to try to build a recurring monthly income. And so my whole approach is geared towards that purpose, to have the income and the traffic be growing gradually instead of always fighting to keep it the same or to keep it from dropping even. So out of all the approaches that I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them over the years, this is the one that works the best for me with building Amazon sites. It's the one that Google has respected for the longest period of time. And so it's the one that I recommend to my own customers to build. And I try to always emphasize when I have the opportunity to encourage people to build sites with unique content. Make them useful for people, because you're not going to be able to trick ultimately the powers that be that are sending you that traffic. Even if you think you can get away with it, they will find it eventually. Google employs people that simply go out there and search keyword phrases, and they will go and view all of the different websites that are ranking, say, up in the top 10. And if they're tricking Google some way and putting forth a low quality site, they're going to end up getting flagged. And that is how Google identifies over the course of time these different tricks that are happening that are allowing people to get in those rankings without actually delivering quality websites. And so that's why I'm completely confident when I say these things to people in terms of, this is the way that you should be creating these sites, both now and far into the future. No matter what happens, this is always going to apply as long as the internet and building your own website will exist for. That's I guess, speculation, Thomas. He was saying he's under the impression if you have AdSense on your pages, then given that Google makes more money that way, they want to put, um, you know, more exposure to your page. So what? They'll rank you higher in the search rankings and things of that nature. Um, some people have suspected things of that nature in the past. Things like that a YouTube video, when put onto Google AdSense, that it'll get more exposure. It is possible that they might at least give it a minor benefit. I guarantee that it won't make or break you getting traffic to that page, though. If Google likes your page, they're going to put you up there regardless of whether or not you're connected to their network that's going to allow them to end up making money. They will definitely rank pages that are not connected to Google AdSense whatsoever, and they'll rank them really, really well too. Now, my entire approach to building Amazon sites, there's really a lot more to it than what may initially meet the eye. I don't just put it all together haphazardly. I plan it all out ahead of time based on research, so I know exactly what I'm creating before I create it. And so I'm executing a particular plan when I'm building these sites. And when you want to be moving from one site to the next, and you want each of your sites to be successful, having that kind of structure to your process can make a really big difference in terms of your success rate. Now, I can't sit here and say that every single Amazon affiliate site that I've ever made has been successful. However, I can say that a very, very large percentage of them end up in the Google rankings and stay there for a long period of time and make a lot of Amazon sales. I end up with somewhere in the 80 to 90% plus range of my Amazon sites that end up successful. And a lot of the ones that may not initially take hold, a lot of times if they just sit there for a while, Google will pick them up and start showing them a lot of respect after they age a little bit. So I've even had some of those unsuccessful sites come back after a year or something like that and start getting thousands of monthly visitors to them, all straight from Google, whereas they didn't get anything before that point. So even with my unsuccessful sites, a lot of them still end up coming back and actually doing extremely well with this tactic. So that's why I consider it to be one of the most reliable ones out there that you can use. Yes, Mary, I do get a new domain name for each of these sites that I'm creating. They don't have to be exact match domain names where the .com domain is exactly what your niche keyword phrase may be. Going for branded domain names where you just essentially choose your own name to call your website and just center all of your content around a specific subject. That works out just fine too. The point though is every single one of my Amazon sites, they all have a very, very specific focus. They're all targeting one ultra-defined niche. And the reason for that is that I don't want to kill myself building each of these websites. If you look at the homepage here, minus a couple of extra pages like the About Us page and things of that nature, this is essentially all of the pages that I have on this website, and it gets about 7,000 monthly page views. So I didn't have to build up a multi-hundred page website to be able to get these great rankings because I am going after a very, very limited segment of the market. I'm not going after any and everything related to betting, for example. I'm going after one very specific corner of it. I don't even really have other things on this site beyond the comforters. It's really all about down comforters. And even then, it's kind of um, even only a portion of that market. So the more defined you get with your niche selection in terms of what your entire website is about, ultimately the better your results become in the search rankings because there are less websites out there that are centered around that entire topic. And it becomes much more likely that other websites only have a single page devoted to your topic, whereas you're building an entire website about it. So the closer you get to that being true, the more likely it is that you're going after a lower competition market that still has, traffic and sales that exist for it. And so, this is how I've made all of my successful Amazon sites and will continue to make them far into the future. Now, I mentioned earlier that I actually recorded myself building this Down Comforter Guide website. Those recordings are actually available on teamazonpro.com. But in addition to that, there is really so much more there. If you have not taken a look at Team Azon Pro already, I'd really highly recommend for you to do so. It's something that you can join with no commitment to stay a member in the future. You simply stay on as long as you need to pick up the training that you would like, and then you can cancel your membership at any time and still retain use of all the software so you can continue running the existing sites you've created and building future websites. So I not only have my Down Comforter Guide training course there, but I actually have 3 other complete site building courses on there. Most of them are for WordPress, but I even have one that shows you how to build an entire site with Fresh Store Builder, something that is really, really popular in the Amazon community. I have training courses teaching essential skills, things like basic web design, HTML, and CSS, designed more for the beginner that's just trying to get into that kind of thing to try to wrap their head around it. I run live monthly question and answer webinars through Team Azon Pro as well. And I even do personal niche and site reviews for my members. Just simply contact me and let me know, hey, I'm building a new website. This is what I picked out for my niche, and these are the keyword phrases and stuff I want to target. What do you think about it? And I'll do a lot more than just say, hey, great job. Go for that. I'll actually go and research it myself and tell you why or why not I think you've made a good selection and changes that you can make to it. Really, really valuable information and things that, quite frankly, most other marketers charge an absolute fortune for. But these are the things that are going to make or break your success with Amazon, your niche selection, and then kind of reviewing how you've done with your entire site as a whole. That's going to, be helping you to get the search rankings, things like your content and your product promotions. So these 2 really important pillars of building Amazon sites is what makes or breaks it. And so that's why I offer my personal help to all of my members to ensure that they can succeed with that too. And then on top of all of my existing training and software and stuff that I have available in Team Azon Pro, I even release new ongoing training every single month, and you get free access to all of my future software. Every time I release new Amazon plugins and things of that nature, my Team Azon Pro members get it all for free, and they actually end up with it oftentimes a month or so before it even releases to the general public as well. So they get early access to everything that I create for Amazon. So if you're not happy with the results that you're getting from your current Amazon sites, or if you simply want to do better or learn a strategy that is designed to stand the test of time, I'd really highly recommend for you to take a look at Team Azon Pro. I really think it can make a big difference with your efforts as an Amazon affiliate. Now, I mentioned I've been doing Amazon site building for a long time. As a result, my training in software has also been spanning for quite a while. I actually started teaching people my Amazon strategies and building software for them back in 2010. So everything I've done for Amazon affiliates since that time, it can all be found in Team Azon Pro, and you won't pay thousands of dollars for it like you would if you went and bought all of my products separately. You can actually get in for just $27 today and continue at that same rate every month for as long as you would like to remain a member for. And again, there's no obligation whatsoever to remain a member. It simply allows you to continue accessing all of my training and get ongoing access to me, my personal reviews, and my future software as well. But when and if you cancel, you still get all of my plugins absolutely free. Everything that you have already accessed, you'll still have future access to it as far as my software. So you don't ever get cut off in terms of the software. It's not a software as a service type of thing. Now, my training, as I mentioned, it's really extensive. Each of these sections here that you're seeing, these are really different series, not just an individual training course. For example, my Fresh Store Builder training actually spans 7 lessons. And some of these lessons are as much as 2 hours long a piece and come with bonus content like code generators and things of that nature to help make your job easier. So my training is really some of the most in-depth, extensive training you're ever going to find out there on Amazon. Each of these here, these are the individual training lessons that are grouped within all of those different series. There's 50 of them just listed on this page, and there's a whole nother page of them back here as well. So this is an immense amount of training content. You get a ton of software along with it, all of my current WordPress plugins for Amazon affiliates that you see here, and then as long as you remain a member, you still get access to all of my future ones on top of that. And again, all this is through Team Azon Pro. You can go to teamazonpro.com to take a look at additional details and join up and get instant access to all of this training right away if you would like to go ahead and get started. Now, as I mentioned before, if you ever have future questions as far as your work with Azon Exit Cache, please feel free to get in touch with me through my support system, ryanstevensonplugins.com/support. I'm more than happy to always help out with custom situations and things that you might be looking to do with the plugin. It is designed to be extremely flexible, and I back up and support all of my software. a lot of people really do seem to love the training that I do in here. I'm not just doing this to make a quick buck. The whole reason I got started in teaching other people Amazon marketing was honestly to help them. I was already doing just fine sitting back and collecting from my Amazon sites at the time. And I shared one of them on a marketing forum and was really kind of blown away at the response that I received from it, where a lot of people wanted to know, how I built it, what software did I use, and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, well, I didn't use software, or I didn't use a specific training course or whatever. It's just these Amazon sites that I had been building, and I really never considered it to be anything special. But then when I got more into this industry and I saw what a lot of other people might be teaching people to make as far as these Amazon sites go, I was really kind of taken back by it all, because I couldn't fathom how the things that they were recommending and really pushing and claiming to have done so well with, I just didn't see how it was possible with my own experience. A lot of those tactics, even if they worked short term, I knew they were destined to fail. And so I initially created my very first Amazon plugin, Product Style, to create affiliate ads that reproduced the ads that I had custom designed on that first site that I shared all those years ago. And the rest is kind of history. I just continued on since then, creating more software to duplicate other things that I used on my site, but to put it into reach of people that might not have my technical expertise. I can do programming and web design and video creation and editing and, all kinds of different technical things on a computer. And I realized, when I shared my site with people, that they were interested in how I did that kind of stuff. But I also knew that they really didn't have maybe at least the extensive amount of knowledge that I may have had in terms of the technical stuff. So, a lot of that was geared towards simplifying it for anybody to be able to do. And not just to, have it within reach of people that could build an entire website from scratch, not even using WordPress. I used to do completely custom HTML websites back before WordPress ever existed. So, I've tried to put my strategies within reach of the average person with my training and also my software. I try not to skip steps and things like that along the way that are going to end up being really, really important for you in the long run. I try to detail everything and do it in a very linear fashion so you can actually understand it and follow along with it. So, with Team Azon Pro, you get complete site building walkthroughs where you can follow along with my videos and build your own site in the process. And so by the time you finish a series of a particular site building course, there's 4 completely separate ones in Team Azon Pro 2. By the time you finish those, you have a complete website to show for it. And so it's not just designed to be theory. This is real world kind of practice instead of just telling you how to do something. I show you what to do. I even tell you why I'm doing it so you can understand it and truly comprehend it in the future. That ultimately is what allows you to evolve in this industry, to be able to come up with a new idea of your own and know before you ever do it whether it'll work or not. But ultimately, unless you know why you're doing certain things, it's really, really hard to make any kind of a decision. You just kind of have to blindly guess a lot of times. And I did that for many, many years. And with my large amount of technical experience, I even went to college for computer animation. So, just to give you an idea of how extensive my technical experience may be, I realized that most people were nowhere close to that. And I also realized that it wasn't necessary to do what I do as long as you kind of have somebody that understands it from both ways. I also like to give credit to my wife as far as that goes. We are night and day in terms of our technical expertise. When we first started dating and initially got married, I would talk about the things that I did in terms of computers and websites and stuff like that. And I felt like none of it was, making any sense. I felt like I could have been talking in a foreign language to her. And so, that kind of thing really, really hit home for me. And I had to kind of adjust my technical way of thinking and try to explain it not in the terms that I really knew it as, but try to explain it in terms that, other people knew it as, the average person would know it as. And so that's also something that I've really, really tried to focus on throughout all of my training in Team Azon Pro is to make it accessible no matter what your level of experience may be. Whether you've built a website before or not, everything is there that you will need. If you've never even set up a web hosting account, or you don't know how to make website backups, or set up an email account on your new web hosting account or something, all of that kind of stuff is there too. Check out Techie Masterclass. 5 lessons of a peek into how my brain works as far as technical stuff goes, but really geared towards making it accessible for the average person to teach them the important parts about it so they could, make some custom web design things on their own website, even if they don't really completely understand web design as a whole. It kind of addresses some smaller, more important aspects that would really apply to the average Amazon affiliate marketer and the kind of websites that they would build. In addition to all the site building stuff, I have a lot of niche training also, and this is something I continue to do every single month. With a rare exception, this last month I didn't do a niche training because I did a 7-part Fresh Store Builder series, all in a single month. So the URL is teamazonpro.com. Sure, I can add that to the chat box for you. Now the niche training, as I was mentioning before, this is geared towards giving you a peek into my head as far as how I try to tackle a new niche. And once you go through a couple of these, you'll probably start to notice a bit of a trend as far as how I will take a niche and break it down and identify the different sub-niches or aspects or ways that I could go about trying to target it, but to do so in a really specific manner. So I'm not going after the entire niche as a whole. For example, you can't just build a website having to do with televisions and promote every single TV out there and every single accessory for every TV out there. You can't even really narrow it down to just the TVs because there's all kinds of different types and different uses for them and purposes and things of that nature. So, all these different things really revolve around how you choose a niche for a website and how you actually go about building it and targeting the various pages on your site and picking the products that you're going to be promoting. All of this is connected when it comes to referring Amazon sales. You need to bring in the right people in the right kinds of situations that are in the market to buy those products. For example, you can get a lot of search traffic for a product and the people already own that product. But if you go about targeting that product very carefully, you can usually know whether your site visitors are going to be people that don't own it or people that do already own it. And then so you can adjust what you're going to do as a result. You can promote the actual product itself. You can promote things that go along with the product, training that goes with the product. Knowing certain things of that nature ahead of time, being a little clairvoyant like that, can really, really make a major difference when it comes to actually referring sales on Amazon. Because otherwise, you might get tons of traffic off of Google and lots of clicks even on Amazon products possibly, but end up not actually referring any sales. It could be because there's some kind of disconnect there between what your visitors are actually looking for, what they're expecting, and what you're delivering to them. And so my niche training is designed to really help you to kind of think about that sort of thing. But I go through a specific niche each time to actually give you, some real ideas to go off of with each of those individual niches. So you can constantly be working on creating new websites. You really get into the rhythm of this. You can churn out numerous sites in a single month. So having these extra ideas eventually becomes really important because you run out of ways to build sites about things you already know. I don't know anything about down comforters. I think I might have owned one in my entire lifetime. I'm a pretty hot-natured person. I slept under the down comforter and I woke up completely dripping in sweat. So they're not my most favorite product, but I can build an entire website about it and talk very knowledgeably about it because I have a very specific method that I go through for every single site that I build. Fresh Store Builder. Oh, you're getting started back again in Fresh Store Builder, and feel it is the right time to get more training. I heard kind of similar things from customers of mine, Mary. I promoted Fresh Store Builder recently with the version 6 release and offered my training course as a bonus for it. But, things like that I include a lot of times for my Team Azon Pro members if it's something that relates to what it is that they're doing. So, a lot of people already owned Fresh Store Builder before this recent release. And so, like if you already own it, for example, you can get this extensive training and you wouldn't have to, pick up that additional software. Obviously, I don't include Fresh Store Builder in Team Azon Pro. It's not my product. However, it is one I have personally used and have created an entire course around teaching you how to use that software, but in line with my site building tactics, in line with creating a quality site that Google's actually going to respect long term. There's a lot of things I love about that software. I love how it really has a lot of focus on building the kind of sites that I recommend in terms of, making your content unique and having, an actual useful website instead of just a site completely packed full of product pages that comes straight off of Amazon. Um, but I have maybe seen a couple of other minor things that for somebody that may not know how to use it correctly, they might use it in the wrong way. Can be used for a lot of good, but I think it could also be used for essentially evil too. Creating a site that's not going to do anything for you, and a site that Amazon might not even like for you to have. But, so that's what my training is really all about is using it in the right manner to create these unique websites in terms of, how I generally create my Amazon sites that are, say, based on WordPress as well. The Fresh Store Builder software is really more geared towards the product pages than it is the informational content, but I cover things like how to create that informational content still within the site, and most importantly, how to go through and customize a lot of the standard pages that are generated in the software and also the product pages that are created by that software to really help you to get that useful website as a result. Yeah, that does sound right, Mary, with the WordPress theme. It is something that you can connect in. I actually haven't released that training lesson yet, but I had some requests for it, and we'll be making one and releasing it on Team Azon Pro for integrating Fresh Store Builder into a WordPress site. Because you can actually take an existing WordPress site, for example, and add Fresh Store Builder onto it, even though Fresh Store Builder is not WordPress based whatsoever. They have this separate WordPress theme and plugin that is used to integrate it. You can integrate like the shopping cart and the design and things of that nature. But some minor little things that I noticed with like the WordPress theme, the design of that theme and the design of the Fresh Store Builder theme, while they looked very, very similar, they weren't exact, especially like up in the header area of it. And so that's actually what one of my future lessons on that is going to be about is making an exact match between those two systems. So then when people are viewing your live website, they don't notice that they're switching between WordPress and Fresh Store Builder. It just all looks like one complete seamless website to them. You really don't want little things like that jumping out at people when they're flipping through your site, because they can catch them off guard and make them wonder, hey, did I just end up on a different website or something of that nature? You want them focused on your content and your advertisements and things of that nature. Ken, Team Azon Pro is just a separate training and software site that I do. While Azon Exit Cache is included on Team Azon Pro, it's really, in terms of my plugins and my ongoing software releases and stuff like that, it's really kind of a minor aspect of the whole site. It's more focused on, the extensive training and also the live help and personal reviews and stuff like that that I do there. So it's not something that I can offer a discount on. I actually don't ever offer it for any lower than what you're seeing there on the teamazonpro.com homepage. I've actually sold it for quite a bit more in the past, but I try to make it as accessible as I possibly can while still being able to deliver the quality that I know my customers deserve and they expect from me. So unfortunately, there's not really any kind of an upgrade from Azon Exit Cache to Team Azon Pro.